Welcome back everyone to theCUBE. We're here at our New York Stock Exchange studio. Of course, this is theCUBE's East Coast hub. And of course, we got our Palo Alto studio connecting Wall Street and Silicon Valley, the Bay Area to Wall Street, and of course, theCUBE Global going forward the next few years. Got a great luminary, OG in tech here in theCUBE, Peter Vesterbacka, founder of FinEst Bay Area. Finland, Estonia kind of together, holds the premier event for founders, money, and entrepreneurship in Finland, representing kind of the, I would say, the center of the action in Europe. Peter, great to have you on, of course, famous for many other things, Angry Birds as well as other games. We've got a little prop here behind me. Thanks for coming on theCUBE.
Hey,
appreciate you.
Fantastic to be here.
So Slush, you got the shirt there, love that. You got the red on, a big day here, and the IPO wearing red too. Thanks for coming on. First of all, Slush is, I want to get that first because that's become a premier event. Martin Mikos and I had a great dinner talking about this in Paris. It's on my list. I just could never go from the US. But it has become the leading event.
Yes.
And it's not obvious. It's the time of the year where it's cold.
True.
And also, but it attracts the best of the best.
Totally, and it's you really say that it's the premier event globally. So being modest Finnish person,
of course.
But anyway,
let's say globally, of course.
But what is very important, and I mean this is also why we do it in November. I mean if you look at Slush and why we started Slush not to make fantastic event which it has become, but the story actually started 2007. I'm giving a talk to 600 students at Aalto University, one of our top universities in Europe. And I talk about startups, entrepreneurship, all of that, my own entrepreneurial journey. You might not know, but I started at the original tech startup that Bill and Dave started in their garage in Palo Alto in California in 1939. I wasn't there, but I met with both Bill and Dave when they were still around. And they were fantastic entrepreneurs because not only did they start HP in that famous garage, but they started the Silicon Valley. Because after HP, Intel, Apple, Google, you name it.
Birthplace of Silicon Valley.
Totally.
The monument, Palo Alto.
Yeah, and that's where I started. So I was sharing my story with the 600 students, and then during my talk, I asked them that, okay, how many of you are going to start a company or join a startup? And Finland, 2007, out of 600, our brightest minds, 3 raised their hand. Pathetic. I mean, everybody wanted to go work for Nokia, Kone, Wärtsilä, maybe even the government.
The big company.
Exactly. And if everybody wants to do that, then there's not going to be any progress, no innovation or nothing, because people just want to maintain the status quo. And of course, I mean, we have a nice status quo to maintain in Finland, happiest nation on the planet, 8 years in a row, and like all of that stuff. But of course, we can, never be content, even though we're happy, but we can't be happy about it. We need to progress. So we started Slush to fix this little attitude and mindset problem. So 2008, together with a few friends, first Slush event, 300 people. I invited, Risto Siilasmaa. We had Monty Videnius, who worked with Morten at MySQL, and we had Ilkka Paananen, who, founder of Supercell. We had Sampo Karilan started something called Sulake, have a hotel. We had Ilja Lau started Getjar, later got a big investment from Accel over here. He is from Vilnius, Lithuania. But people in the region and sharing their experience, why it's cool to be an entrepreneur and might want to consider doing your own company rather than going to work for like Nokia and all of that. And it was huge success. One of the guys came after the event, he had moved back to Finland and said, there's nothing going on here. He had a startup in UK, he's going to move back. But then he said, hey, now there's a room full of crazy people like me, I'm going to stay. And he started his next company. But anyway, so that's why we started. We needed to change the mindset. And then 5 years after Slush, back to Aalto, same talk, same question, more than half the hands went up. So now if I go to any university in Finland or any high school even in Finland, and ask the same question, how many want to start a company, join a startup? More than half the hands go up. So we did a cultural revolution in just 5 years. And it's of course never ending. It's always ongoing. But the really cool thing then about Slush is that everybody else is doing what I call these, like wannabe Silicon Valley events. You pick a sunny place, say Lisbon, or you do, I don't know, Miami or something like that. And then you think that, it's like Silicon Valley. Actually, those places are where all people go to die. It has nothing to do with Silicon Valley. But we wanted to make clear that this is different. So we organized Slush in November. And when you come to Helsinki in November, and you should, you will immediately notice that it's cold, it's dark, and there is slush on the ground. You have that in New York also, like in the winter.
And
so you realize that it's not the Silicon Valley, it's better. It's much, much better because it's different. Okay, the biggest and best startup event. I mean, last year we attracted over 4 trillion in venture capital. So it's the biggest gathering of venture capital any given time, anywhere on the planet. The whole thing.
It's like a festival.
Yeah, whole thing is run by young people. So last year we had 20,000 people from 160 countries, but the whole thing is run by 1,600 young people. And they are there not because somebody told them or paid them, but they are there because they love to be there, because they want to be part of starting the next big thing. And what we have seen now, you join Slush as a volunteer, as a young person, you do that for a year, 2, 3 years, you learn how to build the biggest and best startup event, and then you go out and you build the biggest and best startups like Volt, for example, that Mickey and the guys started, and then 8 billion acquisition by DoorDash. So, we have many, many examples. You do Slush, you learn how to do the biggest and best, and then you go out and build the biggest and best startup. So it's learning by doing, and it's like transforming the region, and it might come as a surprise to you guys here in America. Europe has already won. Sorry about that.
Well, we'll see about that, but we can debate that all day long. But I'm very grateful for what you are doing, because I love entrepreneurship. I think it's the most rewarding. It's challenging.
Yes.
But it's democratized.
Totally.
Right? You can do whatever you want, but you got to understand how it works. It ain't a guarantee. It ain't the big company.
Totally.
It's funny you brought up HP, because I started my career at Hewlett-Packard.
Fantastic.
And when Bill and Dave were still in charge and working, actually John Young was the CEO.
Hey, I remember those times. So yes, very good.
And they had a saying, Bill and Dave, and I'll quote this. I think this is going to be the point. Our job is to train you to start a company.
Yes,
exactly. No, we will train you so you can be good at your job, and if you want to leave, we hope you start a company.
Exactly.
Our job as management is to keep you.
Yes.
And that was their philosophy.
Very good.
Train.
Yes, exactly.
IBM had a good training program, but HP, they wanted to train people to be the best person they could be, and they believed that would translate to the company.
Yes.
And if they wanted to leave, they wanted them to be prepared to start their own company.
Very, very good.
It was their job to keep them.
Exactly. And this is why I always start saying that, hey, I started there, the company that Bill and Dave started, Palo Alto, California. And because the thing is, many people nowadays don't remember where Silicon Valley got started. Now we just, we see, all these, somewhat crazy companies now, sometimes. But the thing is that the important thing, Bill and Dave, they did so many things. They laid the foundation for what is now Silicon Valley. And in many ways, that is still there, but also we have in some areas lost our way. I think this is also important to look back at, history and what Bill and Dave did, because, they had this management by walking around. Yeah. Why did they have open offices? Because you could just walk around, talk to people. How are you doing? What are you working on? Oh yeah, you should start a company. What do you need? Exactly. Yeah. And how can I help, make that happen? And that's why I spent many years at HP, and that's like, I love the kind of like original Silicon Valley culture, because it was all about enabling the success of others.
And I want to kind of transition to the next point there, is because HP had those cultural values of what can I do to help? Yes. They built a system of trust.
Exactly.
Built a system of support.
Yep, totally.
And what happened in Silicon Valley when the semiconductors, the Fairchild, the traitorous 8, they called them, when the venture capitalists realized that Stanford and Cal, the university systems, and then a support system was built.
Yes.
And there's unwritten rules.
Exactly.
As HP had, as you know.
Totally.
Not always written down, but they had the principles.
Yep.
So when you try to replicate that and you don't take your approach, which is, I call it the money ball of entrepreneurship. Right. You got to have service providers. You need to have mentors.
Yes.
You got to have the therapist when people fail and say, okay, start again.
Totally.
So I think that's where I see now with the democratization of social media and what we're doing, live streaming, podcasting. A global fabric is now formed. Totally. So I think it's a lot easier now to replicate if you know it.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what what I always say, that okay, if you look at like Silicon Valley, so Bill and Dave, where did they meet? Stanford. Their professor suggested, why don't you start a company? Okay, then they went to their garage, and okay, HP happened. Many years later, Sergey and Larry, Stanford again, they went to Susan Wojcicki's garage, Menlo Park, and Google happened. Yeah. So I will say that you meet at one of the universities, Stanford, Berkeley, Cal, and then after that you go to your garage, and magic happens. That's the Silicon Valley model. Yeah, that's how it works. It's as simple as that on a high level. And this is what governments around the world don't understand, that if you don't have the universities, if you don't have the education, no companies, you can't like, oh, please do a startup. And then it's, but I don't really know how, and I didn't go to university or whatever. I mean, universities are part of this.
Peter, that's a great point. If you don't have the universities, you fail. And I think you laid it out. It's a very simple algorithm.
Yeah, very.
Now, the failure comes, I've seen the failure, and I'd love to get your reaction to this. I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to replicate Silicon Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring money in. All we need is money.
Yeah.
So they throw money at the problem.
I was in Tokyo. They have this SAS high-tech event there. And then I was told by the mayor of Tokyo, Koike-san, that the Japanese government will invest, I don't know, billions or trillions, and they will have, guess what, 100 unicorn companies. And then I looked around like there, and I'd said that, hey, guys, this is doomed to fail. Yeah. Why? They were like all this, why? And I said, hey, where are all the young people that will build all of these, thousands of startups that will lead to the 100 unicorns? They are not here. Yeah. So you can throw unlimited money at the problem, but money is not the problem.
Money is not the problem.
Unlimited amounts.
It's the system, it's the community.
Mindset, the young people, we need to also, and parents, we need to train, the community, and that's what we did with Slush. We need to change the mindset, not just of these startup people, but the whole community, the whole nation.
Talk about failure, because I've said this to some young entrepreneurs about over a decade ago, when they came to Silicon Valley. I'm like, failure is part of the process.
Totally.
So you got to understand that.
Yep.
But when the big companies that go for the big brass ring or the big idea, they fail usually first time. They become the fertilizer.
Yes.
If you look at Silicon Valley, another data point to support our thesis or your thesis, our joint thesis, is that failure, that fertilizer, are companies like Go. Yeah. The people the alumni that come out of the failure start other big companies.
Totally.
So if you look at the big failures in Silicon Valley, they actually worked, because they went, they got distributed out, and then as individuals, they grew like crops.
Yes,
so
exactly.
like this is where I think you have to have the right environment.
Yes.
The community.
Yes.
And the nurturing around the failure.
Totally.
And of course, double down on the success.
Yes.
The support systems, the legal, the accounting, the banking.
Yes, and this is what people have to understand, that this is not about, like, okay, let's take, how much do you want? 100 billion, trillion, I'll sign a check, go do it. The thing is that's the easy part, and this is what governments, for the most part, don't understand. And I always say that, first of all, we need to make sure that we keep governments and old people out of the way while young people change the world, meaning building these companies that will change the world. Because entrepreneurship is the most effective way of transforming. But then the interesting thing here, and you're absolutely right, is that if I look at like my former Rovio colleagues, I think that there's, 70, 100 studios, companies that come out of people who used to work at Rovio. Yeah. They went and built, even bigger things. And I think that this is something that we need to realize, that, these kind of things come when you have, like you do an IPO, people get money, they pay back, they put into new companies. And I think that this is something that is very, very important. And also failure, as you said, that is really big like fertilizer. But even before this, what we also need to tell governments, that we need to invest in the young people. Namely, we need to invest in education of the young people coming from Finland. We have the best educational system on the planet. So with Slush, it was very easy, or let's say it was easier to make this happen, because we started with a foundation of fantastic education. Then we threw in the entrepreneurship, and then, voila, now we have highest number of startups per capita, highest number of unicorns per capita, and the money follows, the highest amount of venture capital invested into local startups per capita. Yeah. And now we're just going to increase the talent pool dramatically. And when I look around what's happening here in the US, it seems like not everybody understands that it's about the people and the talent, no matter where they come from.
Well, I really want to spend some time on Slush, because I think that's one a result of the system you built and are working on. It's not only a template, I think it's a best practice.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
For the world.
What's the dates on the event so we can get that out
Yeah,
there?
so basically Slush this year, 19th and 20th of November, but we take over Helsinki for the whole week. So basically
There's plenty of rooms then.
there's
How many people last year? 20,000?
20,000. So it's the city is really like slushified
You
for
better
that.
get your hotels earlier. You're
You
in a
should.
cabin.
You should. Yes.
And the attire, obviously, boots.
Boots
a good
are
warm
good.
hat.
Yeah.
Some good gloves.
Very good. Yeah.
What about the side events? There's always. I noticed that your event and others that are successful have great main stage programs, good content, of course.
Yes.
But there's always the serendipity.
Yes, exactly.
Explain some of the serendipity moments that you have there.
Yeah.
Are they curated events? Is it ad hoc?
Yeah, we have actually a bit of everything. So there are hundreds of kind of like official side events. So it's very easy. You just register. You do an event. You register. It's on the Slush site. It's easy to find. Like day before day one, there is Unicorn Night. That's already a tradition. So we invite few of the local like unicorn founders to share their experiences, because it's not only about building lots and lots of startups, but we also need to see that the ecosystem is mature enough so that we know how to go from 0 to like billion plus in valuation. So that's another skill set. But anyways, Unicorn Night is one example. Then if you have, let's say, very specific interest that you want to know about, I don't know, AI in multiplayer games, then you probably can find an event around that. And then there's a lot of these kind of like, of course, informal like dinners and smaller like events, and everybody's involved. I remember when maybe it was second or third year of Slush, and then one of the government ministers, we had actually a housewarming party of Supercell, their new offices, and then he said that, hey, 3 of us came, and the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Trade, I think it was, and then him. And then I said, yeah, so, I mean, last time I checked, we had like 17 ministers in the government. What are all the other ministers doing because they're not at Slush? You're telling me that they have something more important. And now, when you come to Slush, every single minister has to be there, because otherwise they're not doing their job. We had
it's the most important global event happening right there.
Yeah,
in their territory. They're asleep at the wheel if they don't
Everybody's
go.
there. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so I'd love to spend another hour talking about Angry Birds and Rovio. You mentioned that earlier, but we can put a pin in that. We'll maybe come back to that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about something that I've been saying a lot of, and I've been kind of yelling at the top of my lungs for years, but now it's obvious.
Yeah.
And I want to get your thoughts on this. We are living in a really great time for entrepreneurship.
Totally.
The supercomputing democratizing with NVIDIA,
Yes.
cloud technology, AI, changing the software paradigm.
Yes.
Just amazing amount of change.
Yeah, they agree.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very good.
We have a trader who's retiring after 40 years, so he's going to bring the bell from up here tonight.
Cool.
So special day for this option floor here. So a lot of change.
Yes.
I see, and I've been calling this for a decade ago, what's happening now. There seems to be a cultural revolution for young people right now. And I want to get your thoughts, because I'm seeing it now everywhere. And Slush, I think, is just a proof point. You got out early and you
young people
nurtured
make the biggest and best startup event happen.
If you're under the age of 30, or even 25, you're looking at a world that you don't have pre-existing dogma or any attitude. You have pure intellect, prime of your game, and now you have a systems revolution that us old people could help with, because I lived in the systems revolution.
Yes.
So you have old and young coming together for the first time. At this level of where competency, because if you went to Cal or Northeastern, where I went to school in the 80s, you learned systems. You had to build computers from scratch. Everything, OS is everything. So you know systems. There seems to be a revolution from the younger generation. What are you seeing there? Is there any evidence or stories you can share? How do they view the world? What's their appetite for innovation and entrepreneurship, and what can we do to make it so it's peaceful and profitable?
I think that we are seeing exactly what you described. So now it's even more democratized. And I don't know if you've been following like Lovable, but I mean, that's fastest growing startup, like they growing fast, even faster than ChatGPT. Anybody can now prompt their way into kind of like an app and service and like all of that. And it's a company out of Stockholm in Sweden, our part of the world. And it's again a great example of innovation happening everywhere, and we are all about, you know, freedom and democracy.
Yeah.
That's like very important. But I think that values. This is, you know, what is very important for young people. That it's not that okay, let's make, you know, like lots of money like fast. That's you know, yeah, that will follow. But I think that
We've been through that.
Yes, exactly. And I think now that young people are looking for meaning. You have to provide young people with meaningful things to do. This is something that is super, super important. And it's not about, you know, like then going and, you know, sitting in a factory and pressing a button at regular intervals. Some, you know,
Being
exaggerating
a bot,
like maybe a little bit, but, you know, we are not robots. We are human. So we need to provide our young people with meaningful things to do. Okay, it starts with giving everybody, not just a few, fantastic education and also entrepreneurial skill as part of that education. Then it's very important, and I said that and I will repeat it, we need to keep all people and governments out of the way while our young people change the world, even America.
Yeah.
So this is, you know, something that we have to make sure that can happen. And then it comes to these values that, you know, without freedom, you have nothing. So you have to have the freedom to make things happen. I think that there's like something about pursuing happiness. Okay, coming from Finland, happiest nation on the planet 8 years in a row, so we're doing something right. But I think that this is kind of like what it's all about, that we need to provide our young people with the ability to then, you know, maybe prompt their way into success, if that's the thing now.
We're going to see 1,000 flowers bloom from this generation.
Totally. And young people need to also understand that they can do this, and they can do it everywhere. So young people will vote with their feet. You know, if they don't like, you know, the regime in their country, they will come to another place. And this is something that I think is a very important message for America today, that don't take success as, you know, something that is granted to...
Yeah, you got to earn it, and it's hard. And also, it's not about just money making, it's about the mission.
Exactly, because I mean, like, if you're making money but you're destroying the planet, I mean, nobody will, or let's say, hopefully nobody will sign up, you know, to that.
Yeah, I think people get smart. You're seeing impact in the mission. Technology, money, and impact are converging.
Yes.
And impact meaning to life, society.
Yeah, and we want to make the world a better place. I think this is kind of like the thing that if you ask any good entrepreneur, what do they want to do? They want to change the world. And I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but I mean, it's really true. Okay, it might be a small part of the world or like the whole thing. And I think that what I want to do, I want to change the world through education. I want to provide everybody, not just a few, with the opportunity to do what we just described. And there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that, you know, walking down the streets of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, or, you know, like Manhattan here, or like whatever.
Well, you've been very successful, and what I love about your mission is that you've replicated Silicon Valley the right way, and now with Lovables of the world and new technology, it can be adopted. I think we're going to see a lot more, so congratulations, and thank you for coming into theCUBE. We have to end by explaining what this is, because it's been in the shop. We have a prop. Explain what this is and why it exists here on theCUBE.
So this is actually TUN35, aka Tunes, and it's a robot from an upcoming game. It's going to come out next year, and it's not just a game, it's like a whole universe. And I can't share like too much detail on this, but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be...
And you're developing this game.
I'm part of the team making this happen, and that's one reason why we're here.
It's a little teaser then.
Yeah, it's a little teaser. You hear it here first. Hey, fantastic.
Peter, great to have you on. Again, legend. I love what you've done with your career, what you do. I'm grateful for your event and what your
and I'll see you in Helsinki, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to be...
I'll bring you to all the best events.
Okay, I'll hang with you and all the ministers.
Excellent.
I'm John Furrier with theCUBE, mixture of experts here. Again, the world is changing, and you're seeing entrepreneurship really become the leveler of economic stability, but more importantly, growth. And the changes that are coming with all the supercomputing and the AI are all going to be a perfect storm of innovation. And what will happen if we do it right is peace and prosperity for all. Keep watching here. We're doing our part in theCUBE, sharing it with you. Thanks for watching.